Imagine a world where every single person spoke the exact same language. No misunderstandings, no translation apps, no language barriers. Everyone understood one another perfectly. Now imagine what could happen if all those people came together with one huge idea. An idea so bold that they believed they could build something that reached the heavens. Sounds impressive, right? But what if that same ambition slowly turned into pride? This is the story of the Tower of Babel, a short but powerful story from the Bible that teaches us about pride, unity, and what happens when people forget their limits. The story takes place long after the great flood of Noah. Humanity had started growing again. Families expanded, communities formed, and people spread across the earth. At that time, according to the Bible, everyone spoke one common language. Think about that for a second. No confusion. No need for interpreters. Everyone could work together smoothly. As people journeyed together, they eventually settled in a large flat land called Shinar. Life was changing. People were becoming smarter and more skilled. They discovered how to make bricks and use tar to build strong structures. And then, someone had an idea. A very ambitious idea. The people said to one another, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens." But this wasn't just about construction. They had another reason. They said, "Let us make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered across the earth." In other words, they wanted fame. They wanted power. They wanted to prove something. Instead of trusting God's plan for humanity to spread across the earth, they wanted to stay together and create something that would make them unforgettable. And so, the project began. Day after day, the city grew. Brick after brick, the tower climbed higher. People worked together like never before. Builders lifted materials. Workers shouted instructions. Families watched in amazement as the tower stretched into the sky. You can almost imagine the excitement. This will change history. People everywhere will remember us. Nothing will stop us now. And honestly, from a human point of view, it looked incredible. The people were united, focused, and determined. But there was a problem. Their unity had shifted into pride. Instead of honoring God, they were trying to elevate themselves. The tower became less about achievement and more about ego. It was humanity saying, "Look what we can do without limits." According to the Bible, God saw what the people were building. He saw not just the tower, but the attitude behind it. The people were becoming consumed with pride, believing they could accomplish anything entirely on their own. And God knew that if this mindset continued, their arrogance could grow even worse. So God decided to intervene, not with destruction, not with a flood, but with something unexpected. Language. One morning, something strange happened. A builder shouted for more bricks, but nobody understood him. A worker asked for tools. The response made no sense. Friends who had spoken clearly yesterday suddenly sounded like strangers. Confusion spread everywhere. "What are you saying? I don't understand. Can somebody explain?" The smooth teamwork disappeared almost instantly. Instructions got mixed up. Arguments broke out. The project slowed down, and then completely stopped. People could no longer communicate. The very thing that had united them was suddenly gone. The Bible says God confused their language, causing people to speak different tongues. And because they could no longer work together in the same way, the people scattered across different parts of the earth. The unfinished city became known as Babel, a name connected with confusion. And the great tower, it was never completed. At first glance, The story of the Tower of Babel might sound like a story about languages. Why do different languages exist? Why are people spread around the world? But underneath the surface, it's really a story about something deeper: pride. The people weren't wrong for building. They weren't wrong for working together. In fact, unity and creativity are powerful things. The problem was why they were building. They wanted glory for themselves. They wanted control. They wanted to become great without acknowledging God. The Tower of Babel reminds us that ambition itself isn't bad, but pride can be dangerous. Sometimes people become so focused on success, power, or recognition that they forget humility. The story also teaches another important lesson. Human beings are stronger when united, but unity without wisdom can lead people in the wrong direction. Even today, the message still feels relevant. We build companies, movements, technology, dreams. And while progress is good, the story quietly asks a question. Are we building for something meaningful, or just trying to make a name for ourselves? And that is the story of the Tower of Babel. Sometimes the tallest towers are not built with bricks, but with pride. And history has a way of reminding us what happens when we aim too high for the wrong reasons.